You're listening to the Home Improvement Report podcast, episode number 40. In this episode, I talk about some live events that are canceled, and a couple of them are really big events. Hello, my name's Gary Neidert. I am the host of the Home Improvement Report podcast. Welcome to today's episode. We're going to be talking about these events that have been canceled, and probably let's just get right on into it. There are two really big trade shows. They're not home improvement related necessarily, but they're probably some good key indicators of what's coming up. But let's get into the article. This article was written by Mark Vaughn, and he writes for AutoWeek.com. The title, SEMA Show 2020, finally, in parentheses, canceled. Was anyone even planning to show up? Turns out there really wasn't a way to get 155,000 people into one convention center safely. Let's go on. SEMA finally did what seemed was inevitable and canceled this year's show. There's some discussion about having a virtual show similar to what CES, we'll talk about that in a moment, has announced it will do in January at the same Las Vegas Convention Center location. But so far, no concrete plans have been released. SEMA, which stands for Specialty Equipment Marketing Association, announced that due to COVID-19 and concerns that the event facilities and services will be unavailable, the SEMA show will not be taking place in 2020. This is amazing. This show has a 50-plus year history. A long time history. The Great Recession of 2008 didn't shut it down. It was pretty slim in terms of attendance, but it went on. 9/11 didn't shut it down. So this is a pretty big deal. A very, very big deal. Now, the CES show, Consumer Electronics Show. That's the one where they preview all the new electronic gadgets and goodies and whatever that people didn't know that they wanted, but they're going to tell them that the public wants them, and some new items that the public truly does want. But that's a big show that's been going on for a long time. That one's canceled. That's pretty amazing. Think about all the jobs that, all the sales revenue that will be lost as a result of the SEMA show not taking place. I'm going to guess and say there's probably 1,000 exhibitors at SEMA. There may be less, there may be more, but that's my guess. Think about that. All the revenue that's lost because those guys won't be there to do business like they normally do. Same thing with CES. They write up a lot of orders during that show for retailers coming up for the next year and especially for Christmas. That would be in January 21, they're writing sales for Christmas of 2021. So that's going to make a big impact. But there'll be innovation. People will figure out ways to make that work and do workarounds. So let's go on with this. It talks about different people that they've talked about what they were going to do, if they planned to go, if they didn't plan to go. They were holding out to say, I'm not going to go until they got the official word because they were afraid they would lose their location because they go in such a way that an exhibitor gets to re-up for that same place for the following year when the show's over. And they don't want to lose their space. If they would have called and canceled their participation in the show, They lost that space. They'd had to work their way back up to that space, and it could have taken years to get into that position. Same thing with home and garden shows. Once somebody gets into a place that they like, if they do not re-up for that space, somebody else will come in and take it because it's generally prime location. So let's go on here. I'll read this last part of the article. You don't want to miss the SEMA show if it's going to happen because all your competitors are there meeting with salespeople, said Jim Dvorak of Mother's Polishes, Waxes, and Cleaners. Mother's Polish, I'm sure you've seen it on the shelf. But if the show's not going to happen, then everybody's back on the same level playing field. The last line. And everybody has to innovate. Those who innovate best succeed. I did a podcast on innovation versus improvement. Improvement generally tends to be in increments. You make something a little better and then a little better and a little better over the years, just like in a car. And an improvement is, my new car has cup holders. Then it's, my new car has 4 cup holders. And then it's, my new car has 6 cup holders. So those are improvements, incremental improvements. And innovation is something that takes what a consumer is going to use and just kind of flips it on its head and makes it totally different. And I guess probably a good example of that would be, in my mind, the Tesla automobile. For a long time we had examples of electric cars that weren't sexy. They weren't cool cars. They were just very, just a basic transportation, point A to point B, nothing fancy, whatever. Here comes Tesla. Their first vehicle that they manufactured was a sports car. And then they started building the sedans and so forth. But they've made those cars sexy looking. So that's an innovation. In my mind, it's an innovation. So anyway, innovate or die. It's kind of hard, but it's really true. Innovate or die. Innovate or wither away. Excuse me while I take a drink of water. Oh, man. I love water. Love water. All right. So let's talk about some of the events that have been canceled in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And some of these are pretty surprising. Scarborough Renaissance Festival announced the cancellation of its 2020 season, the only time in its 40-year history. It's season. It's not a one-time thing. It's not just one weekend and they're done. On to the next year. It's a season. Again, think about all the jobs and all the revenue that is going to be missed as a result of it. This one is a biggie. Mayfest announced the annual Mayfest Festival is canceled for 2020, but plans are in place for the festival to return in 2021. Mayfest is a big part of downtown Fort Worth events. Lots of people go to that, and it's really cool. So we'll go on. The 2020 Clyburn International Amateur Piano Competition was scheduled for May 24 through 30, but it's been postponed. Yeah, it's been postponed until the spring of 2022. So they're just going to bypass 21. Forget about it. Let me get enough distance away from 2020. The next one, the 2020 Dallas Summer Boat Show. That's been going on for a long time. The 2020 edition of the Southwest RV Super Show was canceled because of COVID-19. The Fall Fort Worth Home and Garden Show was canceled. The Collin County Home and Garden Show in Allen, there's no information yet on their website about whether it's canceled or whether they're going to continue with it. We'll see what happens with that. Oh, and the big one, the really big one, the State Fair of Texas. The State Fair of Texas was canceled. You know, there 2 years ago, it got rained, so much rain that nobody made any money. There was a little bit of revenue generated, but not that much. But it's not been canceled. I don't know. It may have been postponed or put off during World War II. I don't know. But in my lifetime, in my memory, it's every year. The State Fair has been there, along with the Corny Dogs. Now, the Corny Dogs did survive. Fletcher's is doing pop-up locations at different parts of the Metroplex, which is fantastic. And I got to find a place where they're going to have one of those, because a lot of times that's why I go to the fair, is for the Fletcher's Corn Dog. So, but anyway, that's where we're at. But my question, what does this all have to do with you? What does it mean to you? Now that live events are shut down, what are you going to do? Those of you who rely on live events to generate leads so that you can get more sales and add to your revenue, when a show's shut down, events are gone, what are you doing? How are you changing your marketing, your advertising? What are you doing different? I would like to know. Call me and let's talk. And I'd love to be able to record our conversation, and to share that with people, to let them know they might be able to glean something off of what you're doing that's different, that's working for you. You might have found something that's not working and you had to make an adjustment midstream, but call me and let me know. I would love to hear what's working for you. And, you know, I mean, there's all kinds of different ways to generate leads. I mean, of course, used to be live events, and those are kind of gone away. But so what are you doing? There's print media. You know, I think print media has probably saw a little bit of resurgence because there's, you know, that's a pretty easy way to get your message in front of people in their homes. You know, depends on how you want to advertise with it, but print media, radio, TV. I've noticed several companies advertising on TV now that used to not advertise on TV. Now, the drawback to that, you got to have some pretty deep pockets to be able to make enough ads show up on TV at the right time, so that people can see them enough to know to call you. So it can turn into an expensive proposition. Then there's, of course, social media advertising. Then there's other digital advertising methods that you can use. So such a variety there, but really what comes down to what's working for you. Again, call me and let me know. I'd like to be able to record that conversation. So that's all I have for today in terms of my observation. It was a big shock when I heard about SEMA. I've always wanted to go to that show because I like cars and hot rods and stuff like that. And they've got some really cool stuff there. You know, we have a local guy here, Gas Monkey Garage, is on national TV. Richard Rawlings. You know, I think that they're part of that show. And some others around here as well, others around the country. So how do you think that's going to affect the rest of the world, the rest of the country? Time will tell. And so all we can do is do our best to figure out how to make this work, and keep on with what we're doing. Keep pushing. Keep pushing. Keep pushing. Don't give up. Do not give up. keep trying to find some way to innovate and get your business out there. So anyway, so you can check us out on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and you can subscribe to the podcast and listen to the previous episodes of the Home Improvement Report. And, of course, you can go to the website, thehomeimprovementreport.com. Now, what's coming up next on the Home Improvement Report? I'm constantly searching for new information in the home improvement industry that consumers and contractors would enjoy. Also, I'm working on lining up some fantastic guests that I know you would get some great information from. And I bet you probably know somebody that would be a good candidate for the Home Improvement Report to record an interview with. I'm sure you all know somebody that would do that. Maybe yourself. How about yourself? You need to be on the show. And but anyway, let me know about them, you, and their story or your story. You know, I'm always looking for great stories of business successes. You know, the story behind the story. So have you, now let's get on to this. I've got a little promo spot here. Technically it's not a sponsor, but yet it is. Have you ever struggled to find the right marketing tool, a promotional product that you can use to imprint your sales message on the minds of your prospects? Whether you're looking for a giveaway for a trade show, which right now, no giveaways for trade shows, but giveaways are still a good thing to use in a business. It keeps your sales message on the minds of your prospects. Marketing promotions and a whole lot more. Even clothing, T-shirts, imprinted T-shirts, things like that. It's something like that. Check out masterworkmarketing.com. We will help guide you and help you get what you need to make the most impact on your project. Go to masterworkmarketing.com for more information, or you can call me at 972-771-7899. Contact me if you have any questions regarding today's podcast or would like more information on Masterwork Marketing. I'm Gary Neidert, and you've just experienced the Home Improvement Report. Call me, 972-771-7899. Thanks for listening, and thanks for watching.